friends, welcome back to our statistics and probability lesson. I'm Professor Kat here, wonderful wizard of math, ready to share with you some new exciting things to do with your data. Let's write down our teach point. Today you're going to learn how to divide your data into 4 quarters. So we're going to start by saying, I can divide, write this down, my data into quarters to find what we call Q1, or the first quartile, which is just the end of the first quarter, and Q3, which is the end of the third quarter. And then our second part is I can find the difference between my highest and lowest values to solve for range. Let's look at our first example. So first let's take our number tiles, and if these are written on a page or in a book, you need to cross them out and rewrite them, or make these tiles on your own out of construction paper at home. And you need to put them in order because our data always has to be in order for us to use it and make sense of it. So this is our problem where we asked our friends, how many of your classes are using Google Classroom? And we have 5 sets of data here. So the first thing that we're going to do is find Q1 and Q3 by dividing our data into quarters. So if I think of something like a pie chart, and I want to split it into quarters, the first thing I do is split it in half. And the next thing I do is take each half and split it in half again, and that's going to give me 4 quarters. We're going to do the same thing with your data. You've already learned how to find the median, or the number directly in the middle. That's just splitting the data in half. So let's do that here. If I count from the outside, 1 on each outside, I can see that 2 is in the middle. So I'm going to write that 2 is our median. Now, if I count my data points here to see how many of them I have, I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers in my data set. Now, this is an odd number of data points. And when that happens, the number in the middle actually goes on both sides. So if we kind of look at this as 1 half over here and another half over here, the 2 is on both sides. And what that's going to look like is this side would have the numbers 1, 2, and 2. And this side would have the numbers 2, 4, and 6. So in order to divide these into quarters, I've taken the numbers, I've split them in half. Now I have to take each half and split it in half again. So over here we have the numbers 1, 2, and 2. It's very clear that this is the number in the middle. So this would be the value of Q1, the first quartile, or the end of the first quarter. And over here we have 2, 4, and 6. The number in the middle is 4. So this would be Q3, the third quartile, or the end of the third quarter. Now to find the range is basically from start to finish, how far does our number set go? So if we think of this as a number line, and we go from 1 to 6, it would be 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Our range is 5. I could also do that the range is equal to the number with the highest value minus the number with the lowest value. So 6 minus 1, the range is equal to 5. Now you've learned how to solve for Q1, Q3, and range. We're going to have you try the next problem on your own. It's a little bit different than this problem. Let's check it out. So again, whenever you have number tiles, you're going to arrange them in order. If these are written in a book, you're going to cross them and write them out in order, or you're just going to cut some tiles out of paper and make your own number tiles. So let's count and see how many tiles we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So last time we had an odd number of data points. In this question, we actually have an even number of data points. So your answer is going to be a little bit different. I still want you to try this problem on your own. What you're going to do is split the data in half to find the median, and then split each half in half to find Q1 and Q3. And then the last thing that you're going to do is find the difference between the highest number and the lowest number, and that is going to be your range. So I've asked you to do 3 things. Go ahead and pause this video, give it a try, and see how many of these things are you able to do correctly on your own. Can you do 1, 2, or all 3? Write down your answers and then come back and unpause the video to check them with me. All right, let's check your work. So I've asked you to do 3 things. The first thing I asked you to do was split these numbers in half. So let's try that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So if I split them directly in half, I should have 4 numbers on each side. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, split it in half. And let's see, I have 4, 5, 7, and 19 over here. And over here I have 2, 2, 1, and 0. So check your work, and when finding the median, if you split the numbers in half like this, we know that the median would be the average of 2 and 4, or 3. But hopefully you drew the line between the 2 and the 4, and the median is the average of that, or 3. The next thing that I asked you to do was to split each half in half. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers in this first half. If we split that in half, we have 2 numbers on the left and 2 numbers on the right. So this is the value of where the first quarter ends. And since it ends between 1 and 2, we average those numbers and we get 1.5. If you said 1 or 2, you were really close, and I didn't give you specific directions of what to do, so you did a great job. And in the future, if your middle is not on a number, but it's in between 2 numbers, you find the average, just like with the median. Let's split the other part in half. So when I split this half in half, so that I have 2 numbers in each quarter, I find that Q3, or the end of the third quarter, is the average of 5 and 7, which is 6. So before we move on to my last part, let's look back at this. If there's 8 numbers in all, and we divide them into 4 parts, there are 2 parts in each quarter. So here are our 4 quarters. Here is the end of our first quarter between 1 and 2. Here is the middle, which is the end of our second quarter. And here is the end of our third quarter, which is why we find Q1 and Q3. Now the last thing I asked you to do was to find the range, or the difference between the value with the highest number and the lowest number. So 19 is the highest value, and to find the difference between that and 0, the lowest number, I can just write 19 minus 0 is equal to 19. You've done a great job so far writing data sets in the comments that your friends can solve problems with. So go ahead and put a set of numbers in the comments that your friends could practice this with, where they could find the median, Q1, Q3 in the range. And then I want you to go ahead and find a question somebody else has written and solve it. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.